Chosen one, listen to me. You have been running for so long, trying to outrun the shadow of your own doubt, trying to earn what was already inside you, trying to prove to a world that was never qualified to define you that you are worthy of being seen, worthy of being loved, worthy of being enough. But here in this still moment, I need you to stop running. Stop fighting invisible wars that were never yours to win. Stop chasing validation like it's oxygen. Take a breath, child of light. Because the truth is simple yet so divine. You alone are enough. Not because of what you've achieved, not because of what you've survived, not because of what others say about you, but because you exist, you breathe, you love, you rise, you fall and rise again. That is enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. The stars don't apologize for shining. The oceans don't compete with rivers to be seen. The sun never asked the moon for permission to rise. And you, chosen one, were crafted in that same unashamed beauty, pure, radiant, whole. From the moment you were born, the world began whispering lies to you. They told you that you needed to be more beautiful, more talented, more loved, more accomplished, to deserve your place here. But the truth was never about becoming more. The truth was always about remembering who you already are. You came into this world whole, perfect in your divine design. Somewhere along the way, life covered that wholeness with layers of fear, judgment, shame, and comparison. People told you what you couldn't do, what you weren't worth, who you'd never be. And you believed them because their voices were louder than your own. You tried to fix yourself when you were never broken. You tried to earn love when you already were love. You tried to be seen when you were never invisible to the one who created you. But chosen one, hear me now. Your worth is not a prize to be earned, it is a truth to be remembered. You have walked through storms that should have destroyed you, yet you're still here. You've cried in rooms no one knew you were in. You've smiled when your soul was aching. You've carried the weight of rejection, betrayal, and misunderstanding on your back and still managed to show up for others. Don't you see how extraordinary that is? Don't you see how powerful you are just by being you? You've mistaken survival for weakness, but survival is strength. You've mistaken rest for laziness, but rest is wisdom. You've mistaken humility for invisibility, but humility is the crown of the chosen ones. You've been enough from the beginning, but the world made you believe you needed to fight for a seat at the table. Darling, you are the table. You are the feast. You are the blessing that walks into the room and changes the atmosphere. There will always be people who cannot see your light because they've never looked within themselves long enough to recognize light when it appears before them. There will be those who minimize your dreams, question your purpose, and misunderstand your silence. But your journey is not a group project. You are not required to explain your process, your healing, your boundaries, or your peace to anyone. You owe no one an explanation for your evolution. You are becoming something sacred, someone who no longer lives for applause but for alignment. And that is the highest form of freedom. When you finally stop performing and start living, when you stop shrinking to fit in rooms too small for your spirit, when you stop apologizing for existing in fullness, you will feel what peace truly tastes like. There was a time when you thought love meant sacrifice, sacrificing your truth, your comfort, your voice, just to be accepted. You gave pieces of yourself away to people who didn't have the hands to hold them. You poured yourself into cups that never poured back. And when they left, you thought you were empty. But you were never empty, beloved. You were being poured into by the source that never runs dry. That ache inside you, that hunger for validation, was never meant to be fed by the approval of others. It was meant to lead you home to the truth that your value is self-contained. Love is not something you have to chase or beg for. Real love recognizes you, it honors you. It doesn't demand that you shrink. It doesn't silence your truth. It doesn't fear your fire. You are not too much, chosen one. You are not too sensitive, too ambitious, too loud, too passionate, too spiritual, too different. You are exactly as the universe intended. You carry the voice of your ancestors who prayed for your courage. You carry the dreams of generations that never had the chance to breathe them into life. You are their answered prayer. So when you doubt your worth, when you think you need to prove yourself to those who cannot even see their own reflection, remember that your existence alone is a declaration of divine purpose. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not late. You are right on time in the exact chapter your soul was meant to live. There will come a day, and maybe that day is today, when you realize that the only person who ever truly needed to believe in you was you. You'll wake up and see that all those years you spent chasing approval, you were really just trying to meet your own gaze in the mirror and say, I am proud of you. And oh, when you finally say that, when you finally see the beauty of your own reflection and mean it, heaven itself will rejoice. The angels will sing because one of their own has remembered. You are not defined by what you've lost, by who left, by what didn't work out. You are defined by the light that never went out, no matter how dark it became. You are the continuation of every sunrise that refused to quit. Chosen one. When you walk, walk tall. When you speak, speak truth. When you love, love deeply, but never at the expense of your own soul. When you rest, do not feel guilty. When you say no, do not explain. When you say yes, let it be from a place of power, not pressure. Your worth is not up for negotiation. You cannot earn what has already been declared over your life. You are enough, not someday, not when you have it all together, not when you've achieved what they call success, but now, in this breath, in this moment. You are enough with your flaws, with your scars, with your uncertainties. You are enough when you're healing and when you're hurting. You have been conditioned to believe that proving yourself is the price for being accepted. But real acceptance begins when you lay down the armor and let yourself be seen. Not the version you curate for the world, but the real you. The you who doubts sometimes. The you who gets tired. The you who feels deeply and loves fully. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your presence. It needs your authenticity. Your honesty is the bridge between your soul and the divine. Every time you choose to be yourself despite the world's demand for conformity, you honor your creator. You've been walking with your head bowed too long, apologizing for the space you take up, for the opinions you hold, for the dreams that seem too big. But your dreams are not too big, they're divine instructions. They were placed in you by a source that knew you could handle their weight. You are not here to impress anyone, you are here to express something sacred. You are here to reveal a piece of the divine that only you can show. That's why comparison is poison. You cannot compare your light to another's because your frequency is unique. Your assignment is not to outshine but to shine. When you shine, others see their own potential to shine too. That's how the world heals, one awakened soul at a time. Do not let this world harden you. Do not let its cruelty convince you that you must become smaller, colder, or tougher to survive. Your softness is not a weakness, it is your superpower. Compassion in a cruel world is courage. Love in the face of hate is strength. Forgiveness when you have every right to stay bitter is divine. Do not let pain steal your poetry. Do not let loss silence your laughter. Every wound you've endured was preparing you to become someone unshakable. Not perfect, but unshakable. Your scars are not symbols of defeat, they are proof that even in your breaking you refuse to stay broken. There will always be voices that try to make you doubt your enoughness. They will say you're behind, you're not doing enough, you should be further along by now. But those voices are echoes of insecurity, not truth. The world rewards the loud, but God honors the steady, the quiet ones who build in silence, who grow in grace, who choose peace over popularity. Those are the ones who leave legacies that last beyond their years. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to rush to be seen. You are already written in the stars. Every time you wake up and take another breath, you're declaring, I am still here. And that declaration alone shakes the darkness. You have nothing to prove because the fact that you survived every attempt to destroy your spirit is proof enough. You are walking evidence of divine favor. Your existence is a sermon of resilience. The very breath in your lungs is a song of victory. You have been through things that could have made you bitter, but you chose to become better. You have been rejected, but you chose not to reject yourself. You have been misunderstood, but you chose not to shrink your truth. That is power. That is growth. That is what makes you chosen. Chosen one, never forget. People will only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. Don't lower your frequency to be understood by those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Don't let the opinions of the unhealed guide the destiny of the divine within you. Their judgment is not your mirror. Their disbelief is not your measure. You are walking with a light that confuses the blind, and that's okay. Keep walking, keep shining. The path may be lonely at times, but that loneliness is sacred. It's the space where God whispers the loudest. It's the season where your roots grow deep. It's the preparation for the promise. You are not being isolated. You are being refined. One day you'll look back and realize that everything you went through, every heartbreak, every delay, every closed door, was working together to teach you the same lesson: you are enough. You'll see that the people who walked away were not rejecting you. They were making room for you to see yourself clearly. You'll understand that the rejections were redirections, that the losses were lessons, that the pain was purpose in disguise. Every tear you shed watered the garden of your becoming. Every night you spent in silence built the strength you needed for this season of your rising. You are not behind, you are being aligned. You have nothing to prove, Not to the ones who doubted you, not to the ones who left you, not to the ones who never understood you. You do not need to prove your worth by being perfect. You do not need to prove your intelligence by never failing. You do not need to prove your goodness by being a martyr. Your worth is not a performance, it's a presence. And when you start walking like you know that, the world shifts. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start believing. You stop striving and start becoming. You were never meant to fit in, chosen one. You were meant to stand out. Not because you are better, but because you are different. And that difference is holy. The divine does not make duplicates. You are a one-of-a-kind expression of infinite creation. You carry something sacred that cannot be replicated. That is why you've always felt a little out of place, a little misunderstood. You were never meant to blend in with the noise. You were meant to be the melody that cuts through it. You were meant to awaken others, to remind them of their own light. So today, release the need to prove yourself. Release the need to be seen, validated, or understood by everyone. Release the guilt of resting, the fear of disappointing, the shame of being human. You have nothing to prove, because you already are the proof. That divine love exists, that resilience is real, that grace is sufficient. You are living evidence of mercy. You are the answer to a prayer whispered generations ago. You are light in human form. And when doubt tries to creep back in, as it sometimes will, place your hand over your heart and remind yourself, this heart beats not because I earned it, but because I was chosen to live. This breath flows not because I proved myself worthy, but because life itself deemed me enough. Every beat, every breath, is a sacred reminder that I am chosen. I am enough. I have nothing to prove. Now rise, chosen one. Rise not to perform, but to be. Rise not to impress, but to express. Rise not to earn love, but to embody it. Walk in rooms like you belong, because you do. Speak with authority, not arrogance. Move with peace, not pressure. Let your existence be your testimony. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your authenticity. It needs your light. It needs you. And when you walk away from this moment, when you face the world again with its noise and expectations, remember this truth carved deep into your soul: you alone are enough. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. Nothing can add to that, and nothing can take it away. You have nothing to prove to anybody, because the one who made you already proved you worthy long before you took your first breath. Now go, chosen one. Live like you know it. And if ever the world makes you forget this truth, if ever the noise of their opinions grows too loud and begins to drown out your inner knowing, return to your quiet place. Go back to that space within where your soul speaks softly but powerfully. There, in that stillness, you will remember that you do not need to perform for love, because love was already stitched into your being before you took your first step. You will remember that your breath, your heartbeat, your existence, all of it, is enough proof of your purpose. You do not have to chase greatness, for greatness flows naturally from those who are aligned with their truth. You do not have to climb mountains to prove your strength, because you have already conquered the unseen ones inside your heart. There is nothing to prove when your existence itself is a miracle. Every season of your life, even the ones that broke you, served a sacred purpose. You have been tempered by fire so that your light could burn brighter. You have been shaped by struggles so that your spirit could stand unshaken. The pain you once cursed has become the very tool that sculpted your wisdom. You have walked through valleys that few could survive, and yet here you are, still breathing, still believing, still becoming. Don't you see how divine that is? Don't you see that your scars are sacred signatures of your becoming, not reminders of your brokenness? The world may have tried to convince you that you are behind, that you are lacking, that you are incomplete. But that is because the world measures worth by shallow things. The divine measures by depth. And you, chosen one, have depth beyond measure. There is a quiet kind of power that lives in those who no longer need to prove anything. When you stop explaining your light, it shines brighter. When you stop defending your peace, it expands. When you stop trying to convince others of your worth, you finally begin to feel it for yourself. That is the freedom you have been searching for. Not in their approval, not in their applause, but in the silence that comes when your soul finally whispers, I am enough. That moment will change you. It will soften you and strengthen you all at once. You will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will love differently. Because once you realize you have nothing to prove, everything you do becomes an act of joy instead of survival. For so long you've worn masks to protect yourself. You've played roles to be accepted, edited yourself to fit into spaces too small for your truth. You became who you thought the world needed, not realizing that the world needed you to be exactly who you are. You dimmed your light because others were uncomfortable with its brilliance. But chosen one, your light was never meant to make others comfortable. It was meant to make them conscious. You were born to awaken, not to please. You were born to ignite, not to fit. You were born to reflect the divine, and the divine does not apologize for being divine. When you finally understand that you are enough, you will no longer chase what is meant to flow to you. You will no longer beg for doors to open, because you will realize that your presence itself is the key. The universe moves in rhythm with the confident, the peaceful, the authentic. When you stand in your truth, creation itself responds. Opportunities that once seemed distant will begin to find you. People who are aligned with your energy will recognize you. Not because you tried to be noticed, but because you dared to be real. Authenticity attracts abundance. Peace magnetizes miracles. You must understand, chosen one, that proving yourself is a game with no finish line. The more you run, the more it demands. There will always be another critic, another expectation, another voice telling you that you are not enough. But their words are smoke, and you are fire. You were never meant to live according to their standards. You were meant to redefine what worth looks like. You were meant to stand tall in your own narrative, to say, I am not what they said I was, I am what God says I am. And when you start living that way, your peace will no longer be fragile. It will become your fortress. Let them misunderstand you. Let them question you. Let them talk about you. That's what they do when they cannot comprehend divine purpose. You don't owe them your explanation. You owe yourself your truth. You are not here to convince them. You are here to embody the message. The light never argues with the dark, it just shines. You don't need to debate your worth, you just need to live it. You don't need to prove your purity, your peace will speak for you. The calm within you will become your loudest sermon. And when you walk into rooms now, don't walk with the heaviness of proving. Walk with the ease of knowing. Knowing that you have nothing to hide, nothing to chase, nothing to justify. Knowing that everything meant for you is already aligning behind the scenes. The universe does not rush perfection, and neither should you. Trust your timing, trust your unfolding. Trust that what is for you cannot be taken from you, and what is not for you cannot be forced to stay. That understanding will set you free in ways no achievement ever could. You see, the world told you that being enough was about doing more, achieving more, producing more. But the truth is that enoughness has never been about quantity. It has always been about authenticity. It's not about how much you do, but how deeply you live. It's not about how many people approve, but how aligned you are with your purpose. The world rewards performance, but heaven rewards presence. And your presence, chosen one, is a healing balm to this broken earth. Just by being you, you bring balance. Just by breathing with intention, you shift the energy of the room. You are not just a person. You are a vessel, a messenger, a miracle in motion. Do not let the fear of being misunderstood keep you from walking in your fullness. You were not created to be universally liked. You were created to be authentically known. There will be those who call you arrogant for owning your worth, when in truth you are simply aware. There will be those who call you distant for protecting your peace, when in truth you are simply discerning. There will be those who call you selfish for choosing yourself, when in truth you are finally practicing self-love. Do not let their projections become your prison. Walk free, walk boldly, walk like one who knows they are chosen. And when the weight of the world feels heavy on your shoulders, when the voice of doubt creeps in and tries to convince you that you must do more, be more, prove more, pause, breathe, whisper to yourself, I am enough. Feel those words rise through your chest, steady your heartbeat, calm your mind. Let them echo through every corner of your being until the noise of the world fades away. Because in that moment you will remember that your value is not conditional, not negotiable, not dependent on what anyone else believes. You were enough when you were born, and you will be enough when you take your last breath. Everything in between is just a journey of remembering. Remember this too, there are people waiting for the version of you that stops trying to prove. There are souls waiting to be inspired by your authenticity. There are hearts waiting to heal by watching you walk in your truth. When you give yourself permission to be enough, you give others permission to do the same. You become the mirror that reminds them of their own divine reflection. You become the calm in the chaos, the voice that says, you are already everything you're trying to be. That is how you change the world, not by convincing it, but by embodying it. Chosen one, your life is not a race. It is not a competition. It is not a performance. It is a sacred unfolding of divine timing. Every setback has a reason. Every delay has a purpose. Every no was redirecting you towards something greater. You may not see it now, but one day you will look back and realize that every closed door protected your peace. Every unanswered prayer was a blessing in disguise. Every lonely night was preparing you to find comfort in your own company. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. The divine never denies, it delays until you're ready to carry what you've been asking for. So rest, breathe, unclench your soul. You don't have to prove your productivity to justify your existence. The flowers bloom without trying. The stars shine without effort. The waves crash without competition. And you are part of that same sacred rhythm. You don't have to force what is already ordained. You are allowed to exist without explanation. You are allowed to take up space without apology. You are allowed to rest and still be worthy. You are allowed to be a masterpiece even in your becoming. There is a power that comes when you finally embrace yourself as you are. You begin to see that your gentleness is not weakness, your sensitivity is not fragility, and your empathy is not a flaw. It's evidence that your heart still feels deeply in a world that has forgotten how to feel. Do not harden yourself to survive. Stay soft, stay open, stay true, because in a world full of masks, authenticity is rebellion. And every time you choose to be real, you reclaim your freedom. You have walked through enough fire to know that you don't need to prove your strength anymore. You've cried enough tears to know that you don't need to prove your worth anymore. You've loved enough, lost enough, grown enough. Now it is time to live enough. To breathe without guilt, to exist without pressure, to be without apology. The world will adjust. Let them adjust. You were never meant to shrink to fit. They were meant to expand to see. So keep walking, chosen one. Keep breathing in grace and exhaling fear. Keep choosing peace over performance, faith over force, presence over perfection. You have nothing to prove and everything to live for. You are the proof that light survives the darkness, that love outlasts pain, that enoughness is not something to be achieved, but something to be accepted. And when you stand before your reflection tomorrow, don't rush past it. Look into your eyes and see the truth staring back at you, the truth that you've been searching for your whole life. Whisper to yourself, I am enough. Not because someone said it, not because you earned it, but because it has always been true. You alone are enough. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. Let the world spin, let the critics talk, let life unfold in its mysterious ways. Through it all, hold this truth close. You have nothing to prove to anybody, because you were chosen long before they ever had the power to question you. You said continue the speech in the same style, tone, and emotional depth for another 2K words, keeping the flow seamless and without headings or breaks, ChatGPT said, and even now as you hear these words, something inside you is beginning to awaken. The part of you that has been waiting for permission to rest, to release, to remember. That quiet voice, the one that has been whispering beneath the noise of fear and expectation, is finally growing louder. It's the voice that says, you don't have to keep striving. You don't have to keep proving. You can simply be. Let that voice rise. Let it take up space within you. Because that voice is your truth, the one that was silenced by years of comparison, rejection, and disappointment. It is the voice that existed before anyone taught you how to doubt yourself. It is the language of your soul, and it speaks only one message: you are enough. You have spent so much of your life trying to earn what you already possess. You have run after acceptance, hoping that someone else's approval could fill the aching emptiness within you. You have worked tirelessly, achieved endlessly, and still somehow felt the sting of insufficiency. But the emptiness was never a lack of worth, it was a lack of awareness. You were chasing reflections in other people's eyes when all along the light you sought was already shining within your own. Chosen one, what you seek is not beyond you, it is you. The peace you crave, the love you long for, the validation you desire, all of it flows from the source inside you. The moment you stop searching outward and turn inward, you will find the well that never runs dry. It is time to forgive yourself for the years you spent proving. Forgive yourself for settling, for striving, for wearing masks that hid your light. Forgive yourself for believing that your value was something to be earned. You didn't know then what you know now. You didn't know that being chosen wasn't about being perfect. It was about being willing. You didn't know that your worth wasn't determined by others. It was declared by something far greater, something eternal. You have always been the masterpiece. Even when you couldn't see it, the cracks in your heart were not flaws, they were openings through which the divine light could pour out. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey when the pursuit ends and peace begins. When you realize that you have been running not towards something, but away from yourself, and in that moment of clarity you stop, you stand still, you meet your own gaze and finally understand that the person you've been waiting for, the person you've been trying to become, has been with you all along. You were never unworthy, you were never behind, you were never less than, you were just hidden beneath the noise of self-doubt and the weight of expectation. But now the noise is quieting. The weight is lifting. You are remembering who you are. Remember this: you were not placed on this earth to compete, but to complete your divine assignment. You were not placed here to mimic others, but to manifest what has never been seen before. You were not placed here to chase love, but to be love embodied. When you stop proving, you begin creating. When you stop chasing, you begin attracting. When you stop striving, you begin aligning. That is the secret. The moment you rest in the truth of your enoughness, everything begins to move in your favor. Doors open not because you push them, but because your energy matches their frequency. Blessings flow not because you demanded them, but because your peace invited them. You become magnetic to what is meant for you. The world will continue to try to tell you otherwise. It will tempt you to measure your worth in numbers and noise. It will seduce you with the illusion of more. More likes, more praise, more possessions, more validation. But that kind of more always leaves you emptier than before. The only more you truly need is more truth, more stillness, more love, more faith. That is where real fulfillment lies, not in the applause but in the alignment, not in being seen but in being real, not in proving to others but in remembering yourself. You may have moments when you forget again, when old habits of proving try to sneak back in, when you feel that familiar tug to seek approval from those who cannot see your light. When that happens, pause. Place your hand over your heart and remind yourself, I am not here to perform, I am here to be. You are not a product of people's opinions. You are a reflection of divine intention. Every cell in your body, every beat of your heart, every breath you take is a sacred affirmation that you belong. You were designed intentionally, and intentional design does not need validation. And oh, how powerful you become when you no longer need to prove. You begin to move differently. You walk into rooms with quiet confidence. You no longer rush to fill silences because your presence itself speaks volumes. You no longer chase after opportunities that demand you to compromise your peace because you know that what aligns with your soul will never require you to betray yourself. You begin to understand that peace is success, joy is abundance, wholeness is wealth. The truest kind of prosperity is the kind that no one can see but you can feel deep within your spirit. Chosen one, the moment you stop proving, you make space for miracles. Because miracles do not manifest in the presence of fear, they manifest in the presence of trust. And when you trust that you are enough, you are telling the universe, I am ready to receive. You are saying, I no longer chase because I know what is mine will find me. You are declaring, I no longer fight for validation because I am already validated by divine design. That shift in energy is where transformation happens, not in effort, but in surrender. The most powerful thing you will ever do is let go of the need to prove and simply rest in the truth of who you are. Every chosen soul comes to this realization through pain, through disappointment, through the quiet breaking of false identities. You had to lose what you were not to remember what you are. You had to be rejected to realize that your worth was never in their acceptance. You had to be alone to understand that solitude is not emptiness. It is communion with the divine within. You had to fail so that success would no longer define you. You had to be humbled so that you could see that worth is not earned by climbing, but by becoming. Every tear you cried watered the soil of your awakening. Every heartbreak opened your heart to deeper compassion. Every ending was a divine beginning in disguise. You are not behind, beloved, you are becoming. You are unfolding into the version of yourself that no longer bends to fit the mold of others. You are learning to stand tall in your own skin, to speak your truth even when your voice trembles, to love yourself without condition. That is the real work. That is the real victory. The world might not applaud you for it, but heaven does. The angels rejoice every time you choose authenticity over approval, every time you choose peace over pressure, every time you choose to rest instead of rush. Because that choice is an act of rebellion in a world that profits from your self-doubt. You must understand, chosen one, that being enough is not something you grow into. It is something you uncover. It has been there all along, buried beneath years of pretending. And now, the layers are falling away. You are peeling back everything that was never you until only truth remains. And that truth is radiant. That truth is powerful. That truth is love. You are love wrapped in human form. You are spirit experiencing itself through breath and body. You are not the mask you wear, nor the titles you hold, nor the mistakes you've made. You are the essence beneath it all, unchanging, unwavering, unbreakable. And as you begin to embody this truth, you will notice how life begins to respond to you differently. The people who once drained your energy will fall away. The situations that once triggered your insecurity will no longer have power over you. You will begin to move through life with a quiet knowing that cannot be shaken. You will no longer chase outcomes because you trust the process. You will no longer fear rejection because you know that anything that leaves you was never meant for your alignment. You will no longer fear being unseen because you know that the eyes that truly matter have always seen you. You have nothing to prove, and yet by living authentically you will prove everything. You will prove that peace is possible in chaos. You will prove that wholeness is possible in brokenness. You will prove that divine purpose always finds its way even through pain. You will prove that love is stronger than fear and that enoughness is not a destination. It is a daily decision. Every morning you wake up and choose to believe in your worth. You are choosing freedom. Every night you rest in gratitude instead of worry. You are reclaiming your power. Every time you say, I am enough, you are rewriting every false story ever told about you. So, my beloved chosen one, take a deep breath. Inhale truth, exhale fear. Let your soul settle into the certainty of its own divinity. You have come too far to keep questioning your worth. You have climbed too many mountains to keep doubting your belonging. You have survived too many storms to keep pretending that you are not chosen. The proof of your worth is in your persistence, in your light, in your ability to rise again and again. You are living proof that grace is real. And when the world asks you who you are, you will no longer list your accomplishments, your titles, or your roles. You will simply say, I am. Because that alone is enough. That alone is holy. That alone is truth. You are. And that is all the proof the universe ever needed. So stand tall in that knowing, walk boldly in that light, and never again shrink to fit the shallow spaces of others' understanding. You are the reflection of divine completeness, and nothing, no failure, no rejection, no doubt, can change that truth. You alone are enough, and you have nothing to prove to anybody. And maybe, just maybe, that is where your true freedom begins. In realizing that nothing you do or achieve can add one single ounce to your worth. You were already whole before the world tried to measure you. You were already enough before anyone tried to label you. You were already chosen before you ever learned how to earn approval. So now, dear soul, it is time to come home to yourself.